Live from Batemans Bay, this is Paul Murray Live, Our Town.
G'day Australia and g'day Batemans Bay! How are you? Fired up and ready, our first Our Town of the year. God love you! Thank you so much. Batemans Bay, what a magnificent place. We are looking forward to celebrating it tonight. We're here at the Catalina Club and people are fired up tonight. You ready to go? Fight, fight, fight! Win, win, win. All right. Now, we have been having a great time in Batemans Bay over the past couple of days. It's the start of what is going to be the biggest week on the road we've ever had. It starts here. It goes via a bit of federal politics. It's off to Vegas and maybe on our way towards an election. I played with an African rhino. I got around on a jet boat. We've had plenty of fun and we'll talk to some of the local heroes here, all in a couple of moments' time as we celebrate all that is regional Australia, thanks to the wonderful people of Harvey Norman, without whom we cannot do what we are doing. And this year they step up to celebrate those local heroes in a particularly special way. But as always, my love letter to the Prime Minister that you get used to at the start of each and every show. By this time next week, there's probably going to be, the Prime Minister will have called an election. Now, yes, that means we've got the next few days of will he, won't he, but generally speaking, the reason they call an election on Sundays is because it's the biggest TV ratings for the 6 p.m. news, it's the biggest newspaper day. That's changed a little over the years, but of course, it means that we will be in the best season of all, and that is election season. The opportunity for you to be making the decisions, for you to be in charge of where the country goes, and all of that, of course, starts with the Prime Minister visiting the Governor-General. Remember, the hand-picked Governor-General that now is paid even more than he is. Her salary now, what, $700,000? OK, well, he's paid $600,000. And how many pay rises here in Batemans Bay in the past 3 years? That's what I would have thought. Remember, they got 3 in the past since the election. Now, in terms of prospective dates, by this time next week, if an election is called, we'll be all in, all the data, we'll do all of the full coverage. That will be because the election will be on Saturday, the 5th of April. If for whatever reason it's all delayed for another week, the most likely one before we start getting into school holidays, public holidays, all the rest of it, will be April the 12th. But he absolutely has to have it, whether he wants to or not. And wait till I show you some poll numbers, which might mean he might want to go and hide or pretend to have COVID for another week. Because the 17th of May looks like it is obviously the last time that he should be getting up and into it. Now, as always, whenever you pick a day, there are people who say that's the wrong day because it's important to my community or my availability or my ability to vote. And just adding a little bit more insult to injury, it looks like that will be Passover for the Jewish community in Australia. And that community has said that they don't want the 5th to be the date. But of course, the great difference between elections in the past and now is like half of people vote early. So even if it's, you know, the first Saturday of the school holidays, the point is lots of people, they get up and vote early. In fact, can I show you this? Which is, have a look at one of the screens if you're in the room or just keep looking at what you're looking at right now at home. Have a look at this. This is the total number of people who voted early in the last federal election. 7.3 million people, or 42% of people, voted before election day. Previously, that was about 3, almost 4 million in the 2019. So, generally speaking, in Australia, if you want to play, you know, soothsayer, all the rest of it, if there's more early votes, then generally speaking, obviously people have made their mind up, and generally that is about getting rid of a government. So we'll watch this day to day and see whether certain seats like Gilmore, which of course is in and around this area, which is very tight, if there's early votes, what can you read into it? And as you know, I love the data. We'll get nice, deep and dirty because we know that you're interested in it because it's about the future of our country. Also, I just want to get in with all of this because in a week's time there'll be all this other information floating around that there is a very significant number, literally hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be voting for the first time. And no, they weren't all people who joined the country in the past 2 weeks, thanks to Tony Burke. Of course, it's a collection of people over the past 3 years who have become 18. I think we have one in the room right now. That's okay. We'll tell you how to fill out your form exactly in the order it should be filled out. No. But also, there are hundreds of thousands of people, of course, that have come to the country. It's a 4-year process for citizenship, but that means this. 18 million people will be voting in this upcoming election. There'll be a new electorate, as well as 2 existing seats that get the hive-ho. There'll be 500,000 households which have moved from where they did at the last election, meaning that perhaps Super Lefty from Victoria has now moved up to, Super National Party area in country Queensland. Obviously, they bring their politics with them. Overall, you need to know that Australian voters are older because we're all 3 years older than the previous one, but there's also more of us than ever before. There's a very significant growth in the number of people in Western Australia. So all of this is going to be fascinating to see in the election. And again, when we're just trying to work out what's going to happen at the election, and I'm not going to be a happy talk person, I'm not going to sit there each and every day and say, going to happen, going to happen, going to happen, because what's the lesson we learnt in 2019? When all the yibba yabba was, Bill Shorten, next Prime Minister of Australia. What did we say? Nothing's inevitable. Nothing is inevitable. It doesn't matter what the polls say today, what the bookies say tomorrow. It doesn't matter what your best mate over the fence. You will decide what's going to happen, okay? Not just with your first preference, but with your second preference as well. Your number 2 is as important as your number 1, as always. But it is certainly something you have to think about if you're going to stray away from major party voting, about how quickly you get back to a choice of someone to govern, all right? We can all hide behind, they're all terrible. Sometimes that's true, sometimes that's not, but at some point in time, a choice has to be made. There is a big fault line in the Australian electorate that we will be discussing a lot between now and election day. There are just as many people under the age of 50 as over the age of 50 on the electoral roll, okay? There is basically 50-50, slightly more, but 50-50 in terms of men and women. But the opinion polls are showing us blokes are heading in a direction and ladies are heading in a different one. So there'll be certain seats with more women, more men, and that'll again give us an idea of what's happening. Right now, latest opinion poll that came through in the Turnbull Times, otherwise known as The Guardian, was that when it comes to blokes, they're leaning a little more towards the Liberal Party. That's the blue squiggly line of DNA, the Labor Party. These little sort of ups or downs, like 1 to 2 points, okay? But essentially, that's been the way it's been for a little while. However, when it comes to female voters, you'll see a significant reversal of fortune here, where the Labor Party ends up being slightly in front. Now, if I can ask our control room back at Sky News, that grey line at the bottom, can we go back to the male figure as well? You can see there between 5 and 10% of undecideds in females and less than 5% of undecideds in males. So it's all really tight. We're looking for the numbers. It's all kind of 50-50, where 100 people this way, 1,000 people that way is going to have an obvious effect. Now, that gender gap is really important, because when we talk about an election, who sways an election, particularly females 35 to 55. Well, have a look at this. There are 7,500 more female voters than male voters in the seat of Kooyong. So if they're leaning away from the Liberal Party and there's a TLMP, that's how you start to see the predictions of this seat's going to move this way, this is not going to move that way. Now, you've all lived a life and you all know this information, but I wanted everyone to see, in the room and at home, that there are very significant, so say the seat of Boothby in South Australia, one where the Liberal Party would like to win it, Nicole Flint. She'd be a fantastic member of Parliament. I don't know if you would agree or not, but I think she's a ripper. Well, she's got work to do when there's that sort of gender imbalance. Also, what about the sizes of the electorates? It's not one size fits all. So to win the seat of Longman, you have to get 50.1% of 141,000 people. Now, Longman is in and around Caboolture, just on the very northern fringes of Brisbane. Have a look at this. 141,000. The biggest in New South Wales is Cowper, Parkes. See these big numbers, right? Plus big pieces of land. Well, you can get elected in the seat of Lyons with 44,000 votes. So the size with which and the number with which you need to convince people. So again, this is why Jackie Lambie matters in Tasmania. Because while they've only got 88,000 people, 44,000 you need to convince, that number 2 matters. So if you think all electorates are the same, it's about 150,000, it's the same everywhere, kind of 50, it is this granular, and I explain all of that. So when we get into that great Sunday night segment, which I hope you've joined the bandwagon on, where we talk about the details of elections and get deep into it, that's where we're going to go. So yes, in my view, not going to surprise anyone that I'd like to see a change of government, but whether that's going to happen rather than just what you want to happen, well, you only know that by following the data, as we say. Now, an opinion poll dropped up today. Wave, I'm on television. Everyone wave. You're on TV. It's okay. You can wave. Don't worry about it. All right. You can always say, g'day, Trevor. Trevor, how are you? Yeah, all right, you're all on telly. Excellent. Now, he started a trend, that bloke up the back. Security, no. There was an incredible poll which came out, 6 o'clock Canberra time, which is a huge jump towards Peter Dutton. Now, this is huge. Very big, very good, very good. So this thing's put out by the Channel 9 people. Have a look at this. This is the number of the votes in the election from 3 years ago. Labor Party 33%, Liberal Party 36%. The poll that has just dropped tonight, the Labor Party has gone from 33% to 25%. The Liberal Party has gone from 36% to 39%. So interesting to see where all of that is. James Campbell, writing in the Herald Sun today, well, I think he believes that the momentum is going to go Dutton's way. And in fact, he wrote a little bit about this today, about the tenor of what we will be potentially talking about a week from now, which of course will be a month out from when it's time to get on with it. Every poll makes absolutely clear that people have had a long, hard look at Anthony Albanese and decided he's basically rubbish at his job. He wasn't pulling punches. Normally this would be a problem for a first-term Prime Minister. Normally you would expect a Prime Minister in this position to be desperately keen to tell us about all the exciting things that he's going to do for us and give him another go. However, he's underwhelmed us in the way he's done the job, and he's going to underwhelm us potentially on the way out. So no mystery which way James thinks all of this is going to go in the next couple of days. Which brings us to the first of the major pre-campaign campaign events, which was the Prime Minister today, I believe in Tasmania, because, again, lots of Labor seats there, but smaller numbers, which is why constantly you're in WA, you're constantly in Tasmania. And he was there, and it was all about banging on about Medicare and another $8 billion of your money. Roll tape and hold it in as long as you can.
An $8.5 billion commitment to deliver stronger Medicare everywhere, saving people hundreds of dollars in out-of-pocket costs. No asterisk, no fine print, no terms and conditions, just 100% bulk billing covered by Medicare.
Okay, enough. Great, cool. Yes, woo. Toto. Can I get an upgrade? You know, have a look at my new joint. Anyway, this was really all about trying to move the conversation from the number one thing that's cost of living, trying to move it to Medicare, why, Liberals bad, Ooga Booga, Peter Dutton, all the rest of it. You know the video that I've showed you where they literally just cut up what he said and Frankenstein something to make it look like he was going to kill off Medicare. Well, even though they know that's not true, it didn't stop the Prime Minister from dropping this today.
When they talk about efficiencies, they mean cuts. When they talk about economic surgery, they mean cutting bulk billing off at the knees.
Oh, man. He's openly said that it's not going to happen, but they're just going to pretend that you can ignore it. They'll still do their silly videos. But Peter Dutton, very clever today in terms of political strategy, because the government said, 8.5 million, they're going to rip Medicare apart. Dutton turns around and says, OK, not just 8.5, now 9 billion, because I'm going to throw 500 million, which will be their major promise in and around mental health. Here was the pushback from Dutton today, as he hasn't just matched, but bettered what Labor's wanting to do on Medicare.
The coalition government is committed to $9 billion worth of investment into our general practice network. It will provide support to training, it will provide support to mental health services, and it will provide support to making sure that practices are viable and can provide a mix of services to patients and it'll help build those bulk billing rates back up to what they were under a coalition government.
Now, before we celebrate the good people of Batemans Bay, can I just make one little point on the behalf of Australia that has to pay for this, the future generations that will have to pay even more for it. The Prime Minister, since January, has made $27.5 billion worth of promises. The election hasn't even started. So on the behalf of everyone, how the hell are you going to pay for it? The intergenerational report says we are in deficit for the next 40 freaking years, and you want to add $27.5 billion. I don't think people are going to believe you, but we'll all wait and see together. All right, Batemans Bay, we're fired up, we're ready to go. We've got the red meat, we've got the fire up, we've got the fight. So let's celebrate Batemans Bay. Batemans Bay, about a 4-hour drive from Sydney. It is a spectacular part of Australia. A little further south is Mogo, not too far from Canberra. So, yeah, the odd lefty, but that's okay. That's okay, that's fine. You know, just shush, go for a swim. No, it's a beautiful part of the world, and it is famous for oh so many things, including, of course, the beautiful Clyde River, the Clyde River oysters in particular, some of the best, if not the best in the country. I think you're going to say the best in the country, right? Yeah, I thought so. Picturesque National Park, here, kayaking, snorkelling. There's the finest seafood that's dished up at waterfront restaurants, the sculpture walks that you can go and do here, but most importantly, the single best thing about Batemans Bay are the people who live here. 12,263 future friends with a median age of 53, and the leading place they were born, apart from Australia, was in England. As you know, about 5 years ago, pretty horrible fires that there are still obvious scars from for some. We've had chats about all of that. But also, there's plenty of heroism and there's lots of comeback. The place looks amazing. We were here about 5 years ago. I think the local council's done a pretty good job of tarting things up in the streets. Things look pretty good and back together. And I know it's painful for some, even with us today, to see those sorts of images. But on top of that story of 5 years ago was, think about having to not just move your family, but say moving a zoo. It's exactly what happened when it came to the Mogo Zoo, and obviously we went down there, had a chat about that, and then got on with the fun. That is this part of Australia. When the fires were ripping through this part of Australia 5 years ago, there were so many frightened people. Those scars are still obvious today. And while the trees have grown back, there are other scars that are worth talking about, including the emotional effect on the beautiful animals of the Mogo Wildlife Park. It was incredible to hear about the dedicated workers and what they did to keep this place standing during the devastating Black Summer fires back in 2019. Because let's be honest, without them, we will be talking about a very different story today. Now, you've been here for 5 years. The timing of that is, of course, it's 5 years ago since the fires in this region. Yep. And you took over just as basically all of that was happening, and you took an incredible photo of this, which was giraffes, yep, and the area on fire. It's so good to see that things have come back. How the hell do you move a zoo in a fire?
Well, that was kind of the thing, you don't.
Yeah.
So the job was to protect this site, because, yeah, you can't call in trucks to put 10 giraffe on. At different times, that whole tree line was on fire. We were getting spot fires everywhere, and if we hadn't just stayed on top of it, this place was gone.
The dedicated workers all share their own unique bonds with these incredible animals, whether they've been raised literally by hand from birth all the way through to the latest stage in their life. The love never stops. Now, we weren't rolling, but I just saw something amazing. So let's see if it happens again. He'll respond to a call of his name.
Of course.
Watch this. Just watch this extraordinary... Please.
Jabari, come on. Good boy.
That is amazing.
More than 300 animals call the Mogo Wildlife Park home, and it's been carefully designed to mimic their natural habitats.
What do they like to eat?
Well, they are a scavenger.
Yeah.
So that's why you often see them digging so much, and we've got all these tunnels here. Like insects are by far their favourite.
Yep.
But they do have quite a lot of vegetable in their diet as well.
It was so great to see all of these animals and how far they've come from the fires. And this area might be home to all of these beautiful little meerkats, but you want size, you want power, you want to get on a jet boat where a pool's worth of water goes through the engine every minute.
All right, let's talk about what we're about to experience. This mofo, give me an idea. How big? How powerful?
10 metre, 30 foot long. We can take 12 people. We've got 880 horsepower. Very strong, solid built boat. Ocean tours.
All right, well, throw me around like a rag doll. All right, let's go.
This is so much fun, but also an incredible way to see things that you've got to see with your own eyes. These islands are incredible. The colours of the ocean, unbelievable. And if you really look hard, some penguins.
I've ridden on a camel. I've ridden motorcycles, jet boating. New favourite. How good was that? You could see the little inner bogan going bang, bang. Nick, thank you very much, mate. A wonderful man. All right, Matthew Hatcher is your local mayor. Give it up for him. Hello, big fella. Hello. How are you? Lovely to see you.
Welcome to town.
Now, Matthew, this is a really special part of Australia. It's a place that wants to continue tradition while also making sure that it's as up-to-date as everything. How do you approach being the person with the most local power to do something here?
Yeah, I think it's all about bringing people together constantly. And this community, post-fires, obviously really banded together, the whole Shire and the region, really. Not only councils and state and federal governments, but your neighbours really had to come together. And I think just that having that constant dialogue and really keeping your finger on the pulse, I guess, and getting out and about and trying to find that happy medium. There's always a balance.
Because it's that thing where inevitably there are going to be some people that probably want to go a bit too far in some of the development. There are some people who maybe don't want to perhaps move anything from where things are. So you have to balance that. But your view of Batemans Bay and the whole Shire over the past 5 years. So once fire recovery takes sort of a couple of years, where are you sitting now? How do you feel about where the joint's position?
I think we're in a fantastic position. We've had sort of this migration as well because of COVID from the cities down to this area. So we've seen a lot more, I guess, money flowing in as well. There's obviously new developments happening. There's always going to be, I guess, and there'll be people in the room who want to see high rises and people who want to see nothing happening. And I've got a great balance. My mother-in-law lives next door to me, and she reminds me that nothing should change. And I think as a council, we're there to sort of set vision. And it's really about what are we going to deliver for our children. And I think as a group, that's what we have to constantly keep our eye on. And I think just with the access to Sydney, Canberra, as well as having airport locally here as well, we're in a fantastic position going forward to sort of see the benefits.
If you sort of hear a little faint something, there's a little Alabama in this boy. In fact, there was for many of the early years of his life before you came here. Does that give you a different perspective about growing up in a place where, say, executive authority? We talked about this the other night when I ran into you at the Chinese restaurant, which was just wow. Obviously, executive power is different in Australia compared to the United States, but you were exposed to the weights sitting on one person's shoulders. Does that, do you think, give you a little bit of an extra insight into how to do it now?
Yeah, shout out Raymond's restaurant.
Raymond's, how good's Raymond's? Do you go to Raymond's a lot? Wow! Order everything sizzling, and then just order it again, okay? Just that's great. G'day to everyone who was there.
Yeah, no, it is hard. And I think, you know, I've only been in government, local government for, 2 terms now. And previous to that, I kind of had no idea what local government did. So you sort of assume the mayor's got all this power. And we talked about this the other night. In Australia in particular, you don't have that much. So it's more about setting vision. And I think quite often, locally, people just sort of say, oh, council needs to fix this, the mayor needs to fix this. And I'm sure people in the room would see me get tagged on things on notice boards all the time. I think having that responsiveness, community really feels like they have access to people, I guess, in power and making decisions. But ultimately, there are a lot of red tape on everything and bureaucracy. But I think you always, at my level, are always focusing on trying to deliver the best thing for the most people. Yeah. And ultimately, you're always going to have people upset at every decision. And I've had people, since I got this role that were very good friends who were upset about something that was approved or a decision made on something. And I think as long as you're just keeping that at the forefront of always trying to do the best thing.
Sounds like my life. A few people are not my friends anymore after you take a position, you do what you got to do. But good on you, Matthew. Excellent leadership, beautiful part of Australia, and so good to have a chat both on and off the
best place. Thank you.
Give him a round of applause. He's a good man. Re-elected, bigger margin at the most recent local government election. So this one is backing him in. We appreciate it. All right. Quick break, back with more. Thanks to the wonderful people of Harvey Norman. This is Our Town coming to you from the Catalina Club right here in Batemans Bay. Back in a sec. Can you believe that the people of Batemans Bay have been clapping for that long? Like all the way through the ad break? Lovely to see you guys. We're having a great time at our first Our Town. We'll do this, of course, each and every month around the country. It is only possible because of the wonderful people of Harvey Norman. We've been doing this for years now, and it is a thrill every chance we do it. Every year that we get the chance to plot where we're going to be going around the country is awesome. And this year, we bring a particular bit of love from Harvey Norman, but that love is decided by locals.
Our mates at Harvey Norman are always looking for new ways to help those in need, and their commitment to this part of Australia goes a long way back. It was 5 years ago when we first visited Batemans Bay, and with the help of Harvey Norman, they were here in the aftermath of the horrific Black Summer bushfires, helping as many as they could. Is it true that at the height of everything, you were coming back to the shop to double check that nobody was looting? Sadly, it was happening, but also you were giving people a chance to charge their phone.
Yeah, we were charging phones, offering a bit of support, some food, water. It's just such a big thing for them. So we had a few staff members down. We didn't have power inside the shop. We actually had outside running a generator, charging their phones.
Harvey Norman is always finding new ways to help communities, and one of their really important charity partners are the incredible people at Good 360. This is an organisation which helps people get back on their feet after a crisis with things most of us take for granted.
We work with suppliers and businesses across Australia to get those goods to give out to communities. So again, they can bring the goods to our warehouse and we distributed those to charities across Australia, or charities can go to those stores and pick up the goods in their local communities and give them to people in need. At the moment, we have over $15 million worth of stock here in the warehouse, but we've donated over almost $500 million worth of stock.
In particular, here in Batemans Bay, they were instrumental in the recovery efforts after the 2019 Black Summer fires.
So the bushfires is really a great example of what happens during disasters. So we all know in the immediate time of bushfires, the spotlight's on those communities. But a disaster is a marathon, not a sprint. So partners like Harvey Norman have been with us for the long-term rebuild of those communities. They have helped us with communities and families have access to goods that they need during the rebuild.
Just one of the people that Good 360 helped during the fires was Greg Franklin, a father of 5 beautiful children, 2 of whom live with autism, and that did make their recovery from the bushfires even harder. I had the chance to go to his house, meet the kids, and sit at the table to hear his story.
When our house went up, a fireball hit it, and I was outside for a while. Fiona and the kids had already left because I saw it up on the ridge. At about in the morning, I said, just go. Don't take anything, just go. So I was staying there, and you think, oh, yeah, get a hose and fight it. It doesn't even into your head. Yeah. You're in I don't think people understand the temperature. It's not 40 degrees. I walked back into the house to try and get some things, but the paint's blistering off the walls.
Wow.
So you're talking about temperature, who knows, 50, 60 degrees. The kids and Fiona had moved to try to get into the first area, which was blocked off by people parked their cars in the front of the driveway. She then went to the evacuation centre. She couldn't get in there, and then the fires looked like it was going to hit the evacuation centre. So she moved to Catalina Club, it's called. And so they were stuck in there, and they were going to evacuate them from there, but they couldn't. So she had to deal with that differently, so far as, well, they were there. You're starting to be emotional.
No, I understand. I'm sorry to...
No, that's right. That happens.
Tell me about Good 360 and about the tangible help that they were able to offer.
They came up and said, look, we can get you all these goods, things, which is great. We just moved into the home, so television in there. We've got nice toasters still over there. We've still got things we're using, and they're all practical things. And Harvey Norman brought them up. Here was something tangible, new, that wasn't second-hand, and it meant something. It's hard to describe, but it was a tangible, real, new thing.
And that brings us to where we are in 2025. What a great idea Harvey Norman's come up with, which is to let the people of local areas like Batemans Bay select their local heroes. In return, they will be honoured with a pretty significant gift voucher for the store, which again goes back into the community. To celebrate, time to go inside. Harvey Norman, as always, supporting good people, doing great things in their community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul.
Very well done. Oh, don't thank me, thank the good people of Harvey Norman. How good.
Norman.
Good on you. Thank you, Caleb. Really appreciate it. Congratulations.
Very much, and thank you, Harvey Norman. Thank you.
They're great, aren't they? All right, congratulations to you. Well done. Thank you so much for support. And the great man, Mick. Hello, big fella. How are you? I love this man. I love what he does. And Harvey Norman love regional Australia.
Well, I feel really honoured and privileged to get that phone call, a surprise phone call on Thursday. But look, as a business owner myself, I think most of us are doing something for the community already. And as for Harvey Norman, which is such a big company, I'm feel grateful for this gift voucher, and I'm sure this will be shared with other people as well. And thank you.
This is such a great initiative from Harvey Norman, and the great news is it's happening all year long. Everywhere we go, the local store will be searching for local heroes. Next stop is Toowoomba in Queensland. So go into the store, think about the local hero and support them for supporting you. They are great. It is a great idea. Congratulations to all of the local winners and to all of our Harvey Norman people over here. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Now, here at the Catalina Club, this joint, 5 stars. They have been spectacular behind the scenes. They have been excellent at helping set everything that we're up here. But you've got to come here when you come to Batemans Bay.
You know I love a club, and here the Catalina Club is incredible. It boasts a 27-hole championship golf course. Yes, you heard me right, 27. And it has some of the best places in town to sit back, relax and watch your favourite sports. Get a cool beverage from one of many impressive, newly renovated bars. And this is a place which has been the heart of this community since 1920.
Catalina Club has 145 team members that call it its place of employment, pay a little over $6 million in wages per annum. So obviously all that moves back into local economy. We support over 7 local sporting community groups as well.
This golf course had humble beginnings. Back in the 1920s, it was just an 8-hole course, but look at it now. 27 of the most amazing championship holes possible. It was even the home to the very first place Greg Norman ever won a golf tournament. This was back in the 1970s at the South Coast Open.
We've got over 1,000 golfing members, and that ranges from our juniors all the way to our seniors, I suppose, our 80, 90-year-olds. 27 holes is great, having that flexibility to cope with both members as well as visitation.
As always, mention my name, pay full price. Beautiful people, good people. This is a great part of Australia. Quick break. Back with more. We'll celebrate more from Batemans Bay. Welcome back to the Catalina Club here in Batemans Bay. Who loves oysters? All right. Who thinks you're soft if you don't eat oysters? Might talk about that a bit later. We have the opportunity to spend some time with a lovely couple who are fourth generation oyster farmers, 5 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week, absolutely beautiful, and their product, world famous.
Batemans Bay is famous for some of our nation's best oysters, all farmed here on the Clyde River as part of the New South Wales South Coast. We were shown how every bit of this process is done by our mates Jade and Greg at the Oyster Shed on Ray.
Thank you very much for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Paul.
Now, I love that you've got the retail business that people can come here, have a coffee, have an oyster, or 7 if they'd like to, feel free. But tell us, how long have you been on the river and oyster farming?
So I'm a 4th generation oyster farmer here in the Clyde River. Our little shed was actually built by my grandfather in 1957, and my dad took over at 21. My husband and I have just bought it in the last 2 years.
Wow.
So we've got a little bit of knowledge about the oysters and the industry. So
You've got him well trained. There he is. Just do the work. Shut up. You know. Just I get it. You know.
somebody's got to be the listener.
How does one go about farming oysters? How long is it? Algae becomes food. Tell me the process.
The process. So. Oysters are quite woke, I should say, is that they actually start out as males until they reach 2 years of age, and then they go to female and revert back to male. So that's the start of their little lives.
The journey.
So their journey,
please,
that's
the
right.
journey. It's
So
their truth.
They naturally reproduce in the water. So depending if they are at the male or female stage, they will release the sperm or the egg into the water.
Yeah, wow.
And then the fertilisation. So that's the birds and bees of it. They then float around, and we catch our oysters wildly. So this is the Sydney rock species, the native species to Australia that I'm talking about. We catch them on a plastic slat, so it's what we call the single seed method. So what we have here is some beautiful Sydney rock oysters that would be about 3 years old.
So of all of the places in all of the world, why Batemans Bay? Why is Batemans Bay the place for oysters?
Well, we're lucky in the fact that we are one of the cleanest waterways in Australia. We're 98% state forest and national park, so there's no pollutants here in our river system. We're fed from the beautiful Tasman Sea, so we've got that beautiful salty water, but you can see the mountain ranges here behind me. Fresh water right up the very top, so it's that brackish water system that creates an amazing growing environment for oysters.
Now's the moment of truth.
Now's the moment of truth.
Yeah.
So there's 2 ways you can actually open an oyster, and I'm going to show you the very first way. So it is the chef preferred way. What you do is you're putting the oyster knife in between the hinge there. Now I'm just wiggling the knife until the oyster knife will hold itself up. So that's how you know you've got a good amount of leverage underneath the oyster there. I'm going to push the handle down and bringing the blade up, so to use it as a lever.
Oh, wow.
Just like that.
Oh, wow.
So moving the knife around to the right-hand side, because that's where the abductor muscle is. It's attached to the top and the bottom of the shell. We've just cut that muscle off. So beautiful. Look at that beautiful ocean water.
It was a beautiful day out on the water. You've got to make sure that you get down here and experience this incredible part of Australia, but also make sure you sample the product.
Show me how it's done.
Look, everyone has a different way of doing it, but me personally, the way it is.
Bon appetit. Oh! Good on you, Jade. The Oyster Shed on Ray. Lovely, lovely people and a beautiful product. Please go down and check it out. Keep it going for Richard Adams is here along with Sam Steiner. They are both people committed to the local community, and I'm very pleased to say they are here. Best moustache I've seen, by the way. How did this get hit until now? Like, I'm waiting to look at the tash on the bay. It's a good look, Sam. I appreciate it. Richard, how long have you been in and around the bay?
About 14 years now.
Right. So when do you become a local?
About 50 years.
Yeah, I thought so. That might be the case. But still, OAM, business leader. Tell us about what this area means to you and the types of things you like to do to help it.
It's home. I grew up in central New South Wales. This is like a bit of that, but on the coast, so you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
What I like to do here is just help people. During the fires, like prior to the fires, we were helping businesses in Mogo. We started a business chamber to help assist grow the town and liaise with local government. So that worked really well. And then, unfortunately, the fires hit. So we transformed from a business chamber more to a community chamber. So we met with so many different government entities to help source help.
And when, you know, you watch something on the news, you see the politicians roll in, they'll have the photos, all the rest of it, right? Did it take longer than you expected for what they promised to turn up, right? Like, I know there's other examples where they haven't even turned up on certain things, but do they, if they turn around and say, oh, we're going to bring this little shed down, we're going to do this for you, we'll make sure we help you with this to rebuild, relatively quick? Or give us an idea what it's like on the other side of the TV after something like that?
So some things happen in a reasonable time frame. You can imagine, especially the clean-up, that resonates with me a fair bit, is when the government promised to come down and clean up, and they've done a great job. However, there's someone who's going to be first and someone's last. Yeah. So that time frame to clean up that much mess is going to take a long time. Not only the infrastructure that's laying on the ground.
And all of it's urgent.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Everyone's first. So you got someone, I should be first. So I remember at one meeting I said, look, I'll go last. I'm happy to go last.
Wow.
Do everyone else. And everyone stopped.
Yeah.
So they realised that someone's got to be last.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be second last. And it was a process.
Not a rank. It's just,
no.
And, you know.
Yeah, and same with the other infrastructure with power poles. That was the same. I think the time frame was given to me at the time because there were so many properties without power, most in Eurobadella. They said about 3 months. And I thought, man, that's a fairly long time. They've done it in less time.
Wow.
I've never seen a team of guys work so well together.
That's cool.
So there were some amazing things, some not so amazing things, some things, we got a lot of plans floating around for here. Yep. Hopefully we can deliver some more over the next few years.
Well, stay in touch and I'll kick some ass for you. At all the levels it's needed.
Oh, we need it.
It's a very solid boot, don't worry, and it seems to have some effect every now and then. Sam, you're part of the RFS?
Fire and Rescue New South Wales.
Fire and Rescue New South Wales. So to be able to help a community, and I talk about this a lot about emergency services people, right, which is that I think you guys and girls are the best of us because you see people on their worst possible day. Yep. You see people when others would want to run the other way. What does it mean to you to be able to help day to day a community that you live in, that you love, that your family loves? What does it mean to you?
It means everything to me. I absolutely love it. I've been in the job for 18 years and, you know, there's been obviously hard times like the fires where you sort of come out the other side a bit scarred and want to quit. But it's you know, our community came together in such a strong way that I think even if I was faced with the exact same circumstances, I'd be prepared to do it again just because of that support. I think the biggest thing we had then was we didn't know that we had support. What we've had and learnt since the fires is the amount of support from the community and then watching the community support itself as well.
I don't know whether you want to go there, but I'll still ask anyway. Part of that support, emotional, right? Yep. Like, is built into the modern firefighter the availability to have the emotional support, or do you seek it out in other places? Because you have seen some awful things over a long time, even if there wasn't what happened here 5 years ago. So what is there for you? Yeah, look, there's plenty of discussion had, and they always come down from head office and tell us to reach out. Ring this number. Yeah, 100%. But I think the culture is still very much, should be right, we'll just get through it. That actually, the wheels fell off for me at the end of the fire season and I ended up on leave with post-traumatic stress disorder and a couple of other issues to work through. And it was probably more so the community again that helped me get back into the brigade and back on shift and going again. It's that thing, and I mean, we've seen it from Broome to Launceston to Cairns and all, like, when you are a community, right, everyone knows a lot and sometimes not enough about each other, but they can see when somebody's struggling a bit, right? And they do reach out, and it could be the smallest thing from a "G'day mate, how are you today?" to "What can I do to help?" But that seems to be that little special thing in the air, apart from, you know, the beaches, the water, and all the rest of it. That's what holds you together, isn't it?
It is. I've met so many people from our community and from afar that just give you that little bit of a help.
Yeah.
And to give you that little bit more breath to go forward. Because sometimes you think, oh, I need to give up this.
Yeah.
But then something happens and you go, oh, I've got a bit more.
Yeah.
So you just keep going. And like you said, it has an effect on you.
Well, there's just this thing where, you know, it doesn't matter where we are in the world. I'm always like, you know what? If you've got a grudge, get rid of it. If you've got an opportunity to tell someone you love them, do it, right? And that just be the family member, the random person, the person who sort of only ever wants to talk about politics, all the rest. Because you never know whether that's the inch that pulls them back or the inch that puts them over the top for a great day. And either way, on the behalf of everyone here, we love you, we love you. Thank you, boys. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Quick break, back with more here on Paul Murray Live. Thanks to the great people of Harvey Norman. We're in Batemans Bay. Toowoomba next month. Welcome back. Catalina Club here in Batemans Bay. Thanks to the good people of Harvey Norman. Now, you know that I am very honest with you on the telly. I always say that we're the most honest show on TV. Why? Because you're going to know my emotions, okay? Up, down, happy, sad, whatever. I have never eaten an oyster in my life, and I tried, but here's the proof that I have not actually eaten an oyster. Roll it.
So just tip it up. You just want that beautiful oyster and the natural juice going in there with you. Now, like I said, you're either going to get, you know, a French kiss by the ocean, or you're going to feel like you've been dumped by a wave at the beach.
It's different.
It's different. It is a different texture.
That's a little different from me. That's a little different from me. I'm sorry I tried so hard. Gone. I tried. I really tried. Now, Jared Dennis is a man who has got like what feels like a world record, definitely an Australian record. 400 dozen of these he pulled apart in a day. That's 4,800 in a day. Lovely to meet you, my big fan.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. Now, let's rip one of these open and let's see if I can eat one. Let's do it. Bugger.
I was just about to say, mate, you haven't eaten an oyster, so I think the first oyster I cracked for you, I think it should be a testament to your dedication.
All right. This is a test of my love at Batemans Bay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
These oysters are
that's massive.
Beautiful from Jade Rolston as well, down at Ray Street Oyster Farm.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. Oh, I like that. All right. Well, can you cut up a few more for us here? All right.
Yeah, sure can.
Ready? All right. You beauty! Give me another one. Done. All right. So when you're shucking 4,000 of these in a day, like do you like, how do you maintain concentration? How do you not get bored? How do you not cut yourself? No, I'm not having a third.
Right. Well, to be quite honest with you, to think about the cost of living these days, so I think about my family and the bills we've got to pay, so...
Good man.
When you've got a mortgage and kids going to private school, you have to do that now. They left school, so now they've got a job.
Good man. All right, well, let's break as many of these open and get them around the room. I love it. You are an expert at it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jared. I love that top two. There you go. I finally have had a couple of oysters.
I love it that you're done on live TV.
Thank you. That's it. You know, nothing focuses the mind like live TV. But you get out, pass those around, whatever you would like to. All right, Batemans Bay, thank you very much for tonight. Thank you for supporting us all the way through. Thank you to the wonderful people of Harvey Norman. This show is impossible without their support. We're going to be in Toowoomba next month. So if you can, go into the store, celebrate people, and literally it's a couple of $1,000s that comes out as gift cards for each of those people, for each of those organisations. So get into the oysters. Anyone who wants them, hands up. Anyone who wants to make sure that I keep the oyster down can just follow me for the next few minutes or so. All right. That's our show for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, we've got a massive week. Tomorrow night, a pub test in the seat of Gilmore. Then we're off to Las Vegas, baby! The big fella will be in Las Vegas, which I cannot wait to do. The Royal Report's up in a moment or two's time. Thank you to everyone at the Catalina Club. Thank you to Harvey Norman. And thank you to Batemans Bay. We love you guys! Get up, fire up! How good is that? We'll see you again in Toowoomba a month from now. Our town on a Sunday night here on Sky News. Ta-da!